Hey, so I want to start this conversation of this evening. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's live session with Andrea Cyrill Khurana.
Good
Uh,
evening, everyone.
yes, it is absolutely thrilling for me to introduce Andrea and to have this chance to have Andrea with me on this talk. In fact, she is the first professional groomer I ever met in my life. I was, the guy who used to look at her truck from my apartment in Bandra and look at her, you know, drive past or groom some dogs around the corner and try and get a glimpse of her truck. So it's really nice to have you here, Andrea. Could you please
Thank you.
yeah. So when I saw you first, you had the Petsburgh truck, right?
Yep, yeah.
And how long did you run with the truck? How long were you operating the truck?
The grooming van was, I think, from 2008 till about 2015, probably, or
Okay,
16.
okay,
15, 16 probably. And
okay.
yeah, so I mean, we ran it as long as we could,
So did you
considering the
operate the
Mumbai
truck
roads.
and the salon together at any point in time, or it was the truck and then the salon?
Yes, yes. No. It was the grooming van and the salon together. Yes, it was.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So before we jump into the rest of the conversation, let me ask the first question that I would want to start with. How did you get to grooming? Where did you get this idea of grooming and where did you start learning grooming?
Okay, so I grew up with dogs, like most of us have, but maybe not everybody. But yes, I grew up with dogs and we used to have Lhasa Apsos.
Mm-hmm.
And, we used to show them, like, we used to take them for dog
Okay.
shows and we used to groom them ourselves. So I would say that my grooming journey started like from way back then.
Okay.
And I think in 2007 is when I went and learned professional grooming,
Mm-hmm.
because I went to Australia, I went to Sydney, so I did a little bit of research
Okay.
and stuff, and I wanted to do it from somebody who was really well known, and who had some kind of standing in the industry. So I learned it under a
Right.
lady called Christine Spearin. So at the
Okay.
grooming school in Australia, and that was back in
So
2008. I came
how
back,
long did
started the
you have?
van.
So how long did you have your Lhasa Apsos before you started? You took grooming as a professional course.
Uh, Forever. I mean, I was
Correct.
like 30 when I started. So,
Okay. All right.
so
So
forever. So, I mean,
okay.
and when I went, I wasn't living with my parents anymore. The dogs
Right.
belonged to my parents. So I had golden
Okay.
retrievers of my own, and I used to want to groom my golden retrievers. And at that time, I wasn't aware that you should not be cutting their hair and things like that. So I used to cut their
Mm-hmm.
hair. Yes, kill me, shoot me.
Right.
But now I wouldn't, because I know better. Because I went ahead and I learned and I educated myself, which is one reason why I am so uh,
Okay.
you know adamant on education, basically. So yeah, I mean, so then
Okay.
I went and I learned how to do grooming and stuff like that, and I came back and started my van. Yeah, and it was the first in the city, so, and that worked out well.
Right. Okay. All right. So, do you think it really helped you that you had these dogs before and you were used to grooming them every now and then, and the fact that you were showing before that it really helped you get things up, get up to speed really fast when you went for a grooming course?
So the kind of showing that we did was it
Mm.
wasn't the kind of showing that you do, to put it
Okay.
very simply.
Okay.
It was very
Okay.
basic, and I'm talking about like
Right.
a good 35 years ago. So I mean,
Right.
that
And
was
no, no.
really little. Like, it was
Yeah.
ages ago, and so all we used to do was bathe our dogs, and brush them out. No doing underneath the paws, no trimming,
Right.
nothing. They were just
Right.
natural, and you just take them out to the show. And I mean, we had a Lhasa Apso that used to always win, the dog of the show. At This is, I'm
Right.
talking about in UP, Gorakhpur. I'm not talking about Mumbai or Chennai or any of
Right.
these places where
Right. Right.
dogs were huge or anything like that. But yeah, I mean,
Right.
back in UP, that's how it was. And
Right.
our dog used to be like the show winner, and we used to be like really happy about it. And that was the only show we used to
Right.
go for. So we never ever traveled, or we never ever went to another show or anything like that. So yeah.
Right. And I think also those days we really didn't have too many tools to work with, or even a decent. I don't think there was dog shampoo available, right? Did you use any dog shampoo, or
Nope.
you were using?
No.
Right.
Halo
Bec-
shampoo. Hmm.
yeah, because I remember with my first Cocker Spaniels, all I had was those plastic combs that were hand me down from my mum, and no blow dryers because that's not allowed for the dogs. And no shampoo. It's human shampoo,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I used to buy
Same,
those
same, same. Yeah.
small packets, 5 packets for a Cocker Spaniel. That was my hisab. $5, $1 each. I think I started when it was 50 paisa a packet or something,
Oh wow, that was way back.
or maybe even lesser. Yeah.
So yeah, we
So
did the
that was
same,
the
and then
beginning.
you leave them in the sun and let them dry. That was how it used to be.
Absolutely. And you
Yeah.
wonder why your dogs are matted.
To be fair, my dogs were never matted, so I
So
always
for
took
me,
good care of my dogs.
no, with the cocker years, I used to find it really a challenge
Oh yeah,
to,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because yeah, cocker ears are like notorious.
yeah.
So yeah,
So
yeah,
that was quite a bit, and then things started moving, and then we had a supermarket which came with these very basic brushes and metal combs, and I remember those metal combs at $135 a piece was a big deal for me to save up and buy that one comb. So I think that's around it. No, I think by the time you went to Australia, I think we had a lot more products in India, and I think
yeah, yeah. Way
that
more, but
definitely,
still, it wasn't as much as we have today. Thankfully,
absolutely,
there is, there's ABK that has like
yeah,
loads of really, really cool stuff. Now you get dryers, you get tables. When I started, I
right,
had to import my dryer, import my table, import my brushes, like everything. When I came back from Australia, I
right,
brought everything with me, and then I ordered stuff,
okay,
online, and I remember
right,
it got stuck in customs, so I lost like loads of money there because it just never came out because I didn't
okay,
have like a whatever, some forwarding, some things you're supposed to have an import export license or something like that. I didn't have anything, and I just ordered and I
right,
paid, and the stuff came to India, but I didn't get it because I didn't have a license to get it. So I lost like a good, I
okay,
think, 2 lakhs when I started, which was a big amount of money, for me at that time,
right.
for
Oh,
my
it's a lot of
driver
money.
and my
I
table.
think,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. In
yeah,
2008, I'm talking about.
yeah.
Yeah.
And compared to what you spent in 2008, I think today it would be much cheaper to actually start a salon than it was in 2008. Do you think
Yes,
so?
yes, most definitely. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah. Most
Yeah.
definitely. I mean, keeping in mind inflation and stuff like that, but I would
Right.
say, yeah, like it would, yeah, definitely be, it's much more manageable and attainable now than it was back
Right.
then. So, yeah.
Yeah, and you can buy piece by piece because it's all available here. You can just buy as you
Yep.
go, and
Yeah.
sort of a thing. But
Yeah.
nevertheless, let me go back to you going to learn grooming. Was it always your plan to come back and start a grooming salon? Is that why you took up grooming as a professional course?
Yes, it was. It wasn't come back and start a grooming salon. It was come back and start Mumbai's first grooming van. That's what it was, and that's what I did.
Okay, so the
So,
van was in your mind even before
oh
you
yeah,
went
most
to Australia.
definitely. And that van I designed it literally from scratch. All I had was the chassis.
Okay,
I had to
okay,
design, like, do the interiors and what material we should use and where should we place everything, and how are we going to
right,
get stuff from not falling down in the van, and all of that was done
right,
only by me because
right.
nobody else had a clue. I mean, what a grooming van is. Not even my fabricator. Even he didn't know what a grooming van is. So, water,
Right.
generator, tables, how do we keep stuff? Where do we keep our equipment? How
Okay,
do we keep it overnight? Where do we? So there was a lot of work to be done, and I did a lot of research. It didn't come easy, and I don't think anything
okay,
comes easy.
right,
So if you really want to do something, you really
okay,
need to give it that, you really need to put your
right.
heart into it, and yeah. And to be honest,
Right.
nobody really believed that I would go on and go through with it. So now,
Mm-hmm.
almost 13 years later, here I am. So yeah, it worked
Okay.
out okay.
So, what was the structure of your grooming course when you went to Australia? What did you start with?
So when
What?
you
How did they
when you
teach
go
you?
for so when I went, they started me with washing and drying dogs. I thought it was very dumb, and I
Okay.
thought I was wasting my time because I mean, I had Lhasa Apsos, and I know everything already about bathing and drying a dog. But when
Mm-hmm.
I went there and I got to see it and do it professionally, I realized that there's way more involved in, a
Mm-hmm.
bath is not just a simple bath. A bath is like the most
Right.
important part of your grooming. It's like step one. If you don't have a foundation, you cannot build a building.
Right.
So your bath is your foundation. Your bath and dry is your foundation. And even
Right.
when I've gone back, like I went back in 2018, I went back to do another course, and my show grooming course. And even then,
Mm-hmm.
they started me off
When
with
did
a
you do your
bath
show grooming course? Sorry,
in 2018.
20. Where did you do your show
Yeah,
grooming course?
from
Where did you do
Malaysia.
it? Okay. And was it
Malaysia.
breed
Yeah, yeah.
specific, or did you do multiple breeds
Yes, it
in
was. It was
Malaysia?
no, no, no. It was breed specific. I went and did Bichons and Poms.
Okay. Lovely. And how long was the duration of the course?
I was there for 14 days. And
Okay.
yeah, I would get a dog on my table every day. So, and most of them used to be
Right.
matted. So I had to demat the dog.
Mm,
I had to bathe the dog, dry the dog,
okay.
and then do my haircut.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah.
So where can groomers in India or aspiring groomers in India learn grooming in India? Is it necessary that they go abroad, or can they learn in India? And I know that
No,
you
there
offer
are
some
quite a
grooming courses,
few.
but
Yes, yes, there are quite a few. Not just me. Yes, I do offer
yeah,
grooming courses, and I like to be very thorough with when I'm teaching. So, for me, no matter how much experience or whatever you have, if you're coming to me, I am going to start with the ground up, because that is the way I have been taught by all of my mentors. Anybody that has
right,
mentored me has always taught me that
right,
that it starts from the bath. So I start from there,
right,
bath, dry, brush, and then you move on to all your fancy haircuts and stuff like that. But if you're not doing the
right,
basic of it, you're not gonna, get to the fancy haircut bit. So yeah, so I mean, there's me that teaches, and there are a lot of other people as well. I don't know. I'm not really
mhm,
sure who exactly. There are a few people that have been in the industry for like a really long time, also, who have been teaching, and I'm sure they're like really great. Yeah, but my course basically is theory as well as practical, because I don't believe that grooming is only about holding a clipper
right.
or a scissor or bathing the dog. There's a lot
Yeah,
more
I think
involved
there
in
is a
it.
fair amount of understanding. Right. No,
Yeah,
I personally believe that there should be a fair amount of understanding of the anatomy of each of the breeds and the structure of the breeds
exactly.
and what is the
Yes, yes,
type of
yes,
each
yes,
breed.
absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
So we'll come back to so of course people can learn in India, isn't it?
Yes, of course we can learn in India. Yeah.
All right. Okay. And if we were to discuss pet grooming as a business, is that a business that you would think has a lot of potential? Do you think that market is underserved at the moment, or do you think there is still more scope for, or
Uh,
is it kind of saturated?
Okay, so if we're looking at general trends world over, more and more people are getting pets, so be it a dog or a cat or whatever. More and more people are getting pets. So
Right.
there is a need to keep those pets in a certain way, right? So like if
Right.
somebody buys, say, a cocker spaniel, right, a cocker spaniel from you, now
Mm-hmm.
that person needs to
Right.
get that dog professionally groomed at some point, at
Yeah.
least, if even if it's not
Right.
like a weekly or whatever, it has to be done at least
Right.
once a month or maybe once in 2 months. But that dog needs to be groomed
Right.
professionally. Even a Labrador, for that matter, it
Absolutely.
doesn't have to be a long haired dog. So
Yeah.
professional
I
grooming
think
is really,
that's a
really
separate
important.
topic we're going to take up on grooming short-haired dogs professionally. So
Yeah.
that we're going to keep it as a separate segment because that's a lot
Okay.
of discussion. So yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
pet
So I
grooming
mean,
as a
yeah.
business. Continuing.
So well,
Look.
having said
Yeah.
that, now I don't know if you guys have been following this trend that a lot of people don't want to have kids anymore. I have
Right.
met
Absolutely.
many people that have no kids, but they have dogs, you know,
Right.
and those dogs are their kids. So
Right.
there's a huge market out there, for dogs,
Okay.
for people that require services for their dogs, because like I remember when I didn't have a kid and I used to travel anywhere, I would go, the first thing
Right.
I would look for was a pet shop. Oh, what treat can I buy
Right.
them, or what toy can I buy them, or and the reason I went ahead and learned grooming was because I had my own dogs and I really wanted to be able to groom them properly. So
Right.
I think there is a market, and I have been
Okay.
training quite a few people over the past 2-3 years, and all of them
Mm-hmm.
have very successful pet salons now, and I'm very proud to say
Mm-hmm.
that they are doing really well. So yeah, I think there
Hmm.
it's a lucrative business. I think it's important
So is
to
it only
be
tier one cities,
honest in
or
this.
do we? All right. No, sorry. My question is it only tier one cities, or are we also looking at tier two, tier three cities?
Um, I don't know about tier three, but tier two maybe. Like a Lucknow or I don't know what other cities come in that. But yeah, there's
Okay.
definitely a need. In fact, I'm from a small town. I'm from a place called Gorakhpur in UP, and there is a need over
Right.
there as well for groomers. People have
Right.
dogs, and I think in
Okay.
smaller cities there is a scope because people have fancy dogs. They can be like
Right.
Ludhiana and Chandigarh and all of these places. Everybody has fancy
They're the
dogs,
fancy.
but they don't
Right.
have fancy groomers. So I think
Right.
all you fancy groomers just get up and come out, learn, do your
Okay.
thing, because there is
So
there is definitely room
how
for.
does one become a fancy groomer? How does one become a fancy groomer?
Um, I would say it takes a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication, and it
Hmm.
doesn't come easy.
Right.
So if you think that today, today I'm going to pick up a scissor and I'm going to become a groomer, that's not going to happen.
Right.
You're going to have to study. You're going to have
Right.
to learn anatomy. You're going to have to learn the different types of coats, skin conditions. Why
Right.
does a dog behave a certain way? How should you handle it? You know, First
Right.
aid. There's lots more to grooming than just a fancy haircut. But yes,
Right.
you have to, and for grooming, everything is about practice, practice, practice. So I think
Right.
in any vocation, that is, you want to be a tennis star, you want to be an actor, you want to be a groomer, you want to be a businessman. If you are not going to update your skills, and if you are not going to get better at where you are, then you're going to die out. So if you want to stay on top, and if you want to be where you want to be, you can't stop learning. So even today, I mean, I'm taking online courses, grooming courses, for the simple reason that I want to update my skills. I mean, I have time, so why not? So yeah. Cherian, I think I've lost you. So somebody has asked here, could we get basic tips for grooming a golden retriever? um, Yeah, you can. For a golden retriever, so whenever you shampoo your dog, this is like a tip that a lot of people have been telling me. So whenever you shampoo your dog, try and dilute the shampoo, because when you use undiluted shampoo, you're using like a chunk of shampoo in one place, and it doesn't spread evenly all over the body. And also, it's difficult to take it. This thing to. Sorry, that's my dog. Can you please? Thank you. Yeah, so shampooing is important. Getting the shampoo spread evenly is important. I'm talking about golden retrievers. Hi, Vinayak, how are you? So, yeah, spreading the shampoo evenly is very, very important. And taking off that shampoo is also very important. So, when you leave residue on your dog's coat, what happens is that, it gets itchy or sticky or things like that. And then your dog ends up scratching and making hot spots and stuff for itself. So, make sure that whenever you're washing off the shampoo from your dog, you're washing it off really, really well. And for a golden retriever, I would recommend using conditioner. Again, you would dilute the conditioner. So, you take just a tiny bit of conditioner and put it in like a mug of water, and just, whip it
Sorry.
up, and just spread it all over your dog. And yeah, that should be a good way to groom your dog.
Sorry,
Yeah.
guys. I dropped out for a little bit.
Yep.
Sorry.
Needed a
Okay.
golden retriever, how to take care of a golden retriever at home in the meantime.
Fantastic. Okay. So, let's get back to where we were. So we were at
Yeah.
uh, pet grooming as a business. Now,
Yes.
so of course there is a lot of scope. We were discussing. So how does one become a fancy groomer? That's where we were.
So I said the only way you can
Practice,
become a
practice,
fancy.
practice. That is
Yes,
where you
practice,
were.
practice, practice, and then practice some more.
Right.
So you are never ever perfect. Not
Hmm.
today, not tomorrow, not 10 years later. You are never perfect. So there is
Right.
always going to be something that you can learn. It could be
Right.
anything. It could be the silliest, stupidest, smallest thing, but you can still learn it.
Right.
So I mean, and I would say, rather than trying to compete with your XYZ groomer friend here and there, I would say compete with yourself,
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
that's the best way to actually grow. If you're going to be
Right.
competing with everybody else, you're not
Right.
going to grow. You're just going to be looking at what the other people are doing, and you're not going to be looking at what you are doing. And what's important is that you look at what you are doing. So that's my mantra, and that's what I teach my students, and that is what I, if ever I'm asked to speak anywhere, that is something that I really, really believe in. But if
Okay.
you don't let yourself grow, you're not going to be able to help anybody else. So
Right.
yeah.
Now, let's say we recognize the fact that if there is a potential to run a grooming business across India, it definitely
Yeah,
tier one cities, and then there are of course tier two, tier three cities. Pet ownership is everywhere. Now,
it is
you
everywhere. Yes.
yeah, and you started a long time ago, more than a decade ago. So have you
Yes.
seen things change from then to now in terms of the number of pets or the kind of people who are having pets, and also the way people keep their pets?
Yes, yes, and yes.
Hmm.
So yes, there are definitely more pets around, hence the need for more groomers.
Right.
So you don't have to feel that, oh, that person has 10 appointments and I only have five. Why is that? You
Hmm.
can better your skills.
Hmm.
Secondly, people are more aware, and
Hmm.
the reason that we set up the PPGI also was to make people more aware that pet
Okay.
grooming is an industry that should not be taken so lightly,
Okay.
because it's hard work. It's a lot of
Okay.
blood and sweat that goes into it. It's physical
Okay.
labor, it's mental, it's
Okay.
so there's a lot of work that goes into it, so you shouldn't be taking it lightly, which is why we started the association. So
So
yes,
I
there are
think
loads of pets, and
you just mentioned PPGAI. I think for the
yeah.
benefit of the viewers, let's elaborate further on the Professional Pet Groomers Association, and then we will move on to the rest of it.
Okay, so the Professional Pet Groomers Association, or the PPGAI India, that
Right.
is a sort of a platform for certified groomers, and it's a platform for education. What we're trying
Okay.
to do here is that we don't want any pets going into the hands of an uneducated groomer, and by uneducated, I don't mean somebody who hasn't learned the ABCD. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
somebody who is not aware of how to handle a pet, how to groom a pet, aware about coats, skin conditions. So there is a lot involved. When you
Okay.
educate yourself, when you go to a certified groomer,
Mm-hmm.
I think what you are, if you have to pay maybe a little bit extra, what you're paying for is that person's investment,
Mm-hmm.
time. Uh, Learning grooming is not cheap. I mean, I don't know. I must have spent like a good maybe 30-35 lakhs so far on just my
Right.
education. And this is only grooming. I'm
Right.
only talking about grooming, nothing else.
Right.
So it's expensive, okay, but I love it enough to be able to go ahead and do it. And God has been kind, because I am able to afford it,
Right.
and which is why I teach as well, because I go, I learn, and then I like to impart that
So,
knowledge to
what
my
would be the
students.
purpose of Professional Pet Groomers Association in India? What would be the mission with
So
which they are going to work?
So the mission for PPGI is actually to get education across to more groomers. So, like for
Mhm.
example, now I come from thankfully a relatively good financial background, so I'm able to afford going to a different country and
Mhm.
updating my skills and stuff. But there are a lot of people who want to do grooming, and who want to be certified groomers, and who want to learn, but
Mhm.
they're not getting the opportunity. So
Okay.
PPGI is for that reason. We
Okay.
are there for that reason. And the other thing about PPGI is that it's not just me. It's not me alone. It's an
Right.
association. Okay,
Yeah,
so it's
just
not
for the
me. It
benefit of the
is,
viewers,
yeah,
Professional Pet Groomers Association India is spearheaded by Andrea, and there are other professional groomers who are part of it. This is something new. They have started working on it since 2 months. I think it's still evolving.
yeah.
I just wanted to put it out there. She is the founding president of PPGAI, and let's hear from the founder herself. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so PPGAI is basically support and education.
Okay.
So, since there are a lot of groomers, like in tier two, tier three cities, right? So,
Hmm.
you may or may not be financially stable, you know.
Right.
So, you need to be able to have an option
Hmm.
of learning, and
Okay.
learning world standard, grooming, even in
Okay.
your own country. Why not? I mean,
Right.
China does it, Malaysia does it, America does it,
So
Australia does it. Why
can
not
I
India? Why can't we be on the
summarize it
map?
as the step one or the first mission for PPGAI should be to provide for affordable grooming classes and learning
Yes.
opportunities in India for people
Education.
who aspire to be
Yes.
groomers in India?
Correct. Yes, that is
Okay.
what it is, and we are going to be. So we are working together. We are a group of I think about 8 or 10 groomers right now, and
Mhm.
all of us have been in the industry for a few years. So
Right.
maybe somebody has been there for 5 years. Someone has been like me. I've been there for like almost
Mhm.
12 years. So
Mhm.
all of us have gained enough experience, enough knowledge, and we have gone out of the country and updated our skills as well.
Right.
So we bring all of that to the table. So it's
Okay.
basically you're getting the best of all worlds at one place.
Right.
So we want to encourage you to be able to learn, to be able to educate yourself and to be able to do a good job, because the reason all of us are all in this is because we love animals.
Right.
That's of what we do, right? I mean,
All right.
nobody who hates animals is going to want to be a groomer,
So,
right?
would that mean that is it a body where people become members, or people can come and avail courses offered by the association? How does that work?
So yes, it is a body where groomers can become members as well, and there is a little bit of a test that we would like to some kind of protocol that we would like our groomers to follow, like for example, safety in the salon.
Right.
Safety for yourself and safety for the pet, which I think is our number one priority.
Hmm.
Secondly is first aid. So any
Okay.
groomer that wants to be a member of PPGAI can needs to do a first aid course. So we
Hmm.
do offer first aid courses. In fact, I just had a first aid workshop recently. It
Hmm.
was, I think, in Feb. Yeah,
Okay.
in Feb I had a first aid workshop, and it's not expensive. I mean, we charge like $1,500 for the workshop.
Okay.
So I mean, I think fifteen
Was it a
hundred
full day event?
bucks. It was about a 4 hour event. Yeah,
Okay.
so half a day.
Okay.
So I mean, and this is it wasn't to make money, because
Right.
honestly, I spent more money than I made,
Right.
but it was to educate. So tomorrow, if you have a dog on your table and something goes wrong,
Right.
you know what to do, and
Okay.
that is very, very important. So first aid is one of the things that we are going to be focusing on in terms of workshop. Then we're going to be doing specific grooming styles, like Asian fusion, and then we're
Right.
going to be doing the business side of things as
So
well. So
we'll
some
we'll come to the Asian fusion and more advanced, grooming styles, because I think I have been meeting a lot of people, and I think it is still at how do I bathe and dry, and how do I get that done perfectly,
right.
and then we can, learn to hold the scissor and then get the Asian fusion.
Yeah.
So you remember I had someone visit me, Nina Kohinen from Finland, and it was a
Right.
really
Yes.
lovely.
Yes. I know, and I missed that, and I was like, but
So
I was
that
in Australia then,
uh,
winning.
uh,
Yee!
and congratulations winning in Australia. So,
Thank
for me,
you.
that was the first time I had an event like that in sort of my backyard, sort of a thing. It was supposed to be in my backyard, but then, we kept it in the city so that everybody can attend it and conveniently attend it. So are we then looking at PPGAI as an association who will spearhead both having international experienced groomers and as well as all you guys in the association teaching on a regular basis? Is that how it is going to be?
As of now, it is just us Indians, but the eventual plan is that yes, we will get international tutors as well who can
Right.
come and do workshops for groomers here. So rather than us having to go, because sometimes it's not a money thing, sometimes it's a
Right.
time thing.
Right.
A lot of people, like a lot of women, they have
Right.
kids, a family to to take care
Right.
of, and they can't be away from their family for like 15 days, a month, 2 months.
Right.
It's not possible.
I agree. I
So for
agree.
that reason, we will be calling people. I mean, since all of us collectively have trained under so many amazing teachers around the world,
Right.
and all of our teachers are really, really enthusiastic about coming to India, we are
Okay.
definitely going to be calling them here
So I think we have
eventually. But yeah.
fairly established that there is scope for grooming as a business. There is scope to learn grooming within India without having to spend a lot of time and effort going abroad, and
Yep.
also money. So it's all going to be available in our backyard, because all of you
Yep.
guys and all of us pet lovers have taken a lot of efforts in learning so far, and then being ready to share the knowledge that we have. And I think, of course,
Yeah.
we also have all the equipment. I don't think there was a time when I had to buy everything from abroad, and so did you.
Yeah.
And I
Me
think
too. Yeah.
pretty much everything.
I used to pay like double the price, only shipping and custom
Right,
duty.
shipping was
So,
the killer. Absolutely. So
yeah, yeah.
and also,
Customs duty.
yes, yes. So it never made sense, and it was always difficult. I'm getting one thing shipping that much, and then get another thing shipping again. It's an exponential
Yeah.
number. And with, I think, players like ABK and a whole bunch of others,
ABK is a godsend.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
in this thing,
I keep
like,
saying
I
that to
mean,
Anand.
the kind of, yeah, because the kind of products that you get are international standard products. You'll get Andis, which is like an international
Right.
brand, which most
When you,
groomers use around the world. So
I just got
you're
a
good.
parcel from ABK just before we started the call. 10 boxes
Oh
came from.
yay! Oh wow, 10 boxes. What
Surprise.
did you order?
A lot of crates, and so crate training is a must for me. So I get
Okay.
crates every time I have puppies, and then I got some new scissors and shampoos and everything. So
Oh, I'm jealous.
so so yeah, so that's it. So now that let's discuss a little bit around the setup cost of a grooming salon. And I think there are a lot of questions around grooming tips, and I would request all you viewers to stay online and stay with us. We would get to grooming tips by the end of this, after a bit of this conversation. So let us quickly run into what does it take to set up a grooming salon. It need not be a fancy grooming salon, with certain basics. What are those basics that you cannot do without? You
Okay.
can't. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So to set up your salon, first of all, you need a place.
Right.
Okay.
So
So
let's
if you
assume
have
they
a
have
place in your home, then that's good.
check.
Because what happens is it comes under your costing. So that's
Right.
why I'm saying if you have a place at home, then you're home free on that. But
Right.
most people may or may not have that kind of space at home. Okay. So
Right.
you have to rent out a shop. When you rent
Right.
out a shop, you have to pay whatever. So you have to consider that in your
So
business
let's
plan as
leave
well.
real
Okay.
estate out of
So
this.
yeah.
Let's
Okay.
leave
Yeah.
real estate out of it. Let's just get to straight to grooming stuff, particularly grooming stuff.
Okay. So what you need, the most important things you need are your bathtub,
Yeah.
where you can bathe the dog. You
Right.
need your table. Okay.
Right.
So there are different types of tables you get. You get hydraulic, you get electric, you get your regular, stand tables.
So I would think,
You need,
just for the benefit of the viewers, you can start as cheap as 8,500 or 10,000 bucks for a table, which is not a height adjustable table, but a
yeah, yeah,
regular
yeah.
table at
Yeah, a
ABK.
basic table about I think a 2 foot, right? 2 feet by 3 feet.
Hey, I got this. I'm just going
I
to
went
pull
and
out.
got my successors as well.
Okay, yeah. So a basic
Yeah.
table, which would be a 2 feet by 3
Will
feet
be
table,
around between 8 to 10,000 rupees. Yes.
right,
So that could hold a dog up to, I think, around 80 kgs or 100 kgs. So which is good
okay,
enough for pretty much any dog, unless you
okay,
have like a Saint Bernard or a Great Dane or something, and those are extra large. So for those you need an extra large table, or you can do them on the floor. The
right.
reason I can see you flashing your scissors, Cherian.
I'm just listening to it and seeing how nice it sounds.
Yeah,
Right,
so you need a table. You have different options. You get expensive ones, you get cheaper ones as well. The
right,
cheaper ones don't necessarily have to be low quality. So,
absolutely,
but yes, you would be looking at spending about 10,000 rupees on your table.
right.
Then you would need a dryer.
Yes,
So there are three kinds of dryers, four kinds of dryers actually
right,
available. So you have cage dryers, which I
right,
don't recommend.
right.
Okay, so let's just like throw that one
Let's
away.
forget the cage
Okay,
dryers. Let's get to straight
yeah.
to force dryers.
So we have forced dryers, you have hand dryers, and you have stand dryers. So
Right.
as the name suggests, a forced dryer will have a lot of force to it, which means
Mhm.
it'll dry your dog really, really fast.
Right.
But you have to know how to use it. So
Yeah.
yeah. And a forced dryer can also be used as a finishing dryer if you remove the cone. So
Yeah.
you
And
can use
also
it as a
adjust the speed.
2-in-1. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. If you lessen the speed and take off the cone, the air the velocity is a little
And
less. So
just to
that
give you a
works.
disclaimer, a force dryer is a superb tool to mat up a completely clean, nice dog if you don't know how to use it.
Yes, yes,
So,
yes, yes. Be careful. That's why I'm saying be careful. Okay.
yeah,
So that is
yeah,
why you should educate yourself.
right.
Get trained. So
Absolutely.
yeah, then you have your hand dryers. Your hand dryers are your regular dryers, the ones that you use, that a beauty salon would use.
Right.
Now, when you're using a regular hand dryer, you should be careful of the heat setting. make sure
Right.
that the dryer is never too hot, because
Hot.
I don't know if everybody is aware, but the basic body temperature of a dog is about 101 to 102 degrees.
102.
And
So let's not get into specifics of using it, because then we'll run out of
yeah.
time and we won't cover ground.
Okay,
So
so yeah,
let's-
okay, so
so
okay, so like a force
what
dryer
should
would cost you
yeah,
about 12 to 15,000 bucks, I think.
okay.
A
And
hand
I
dryer
think
would cost you about 5,000, depending
right,
on
and
the
I think
brand you go.
most tires also, some of them maybe a lighter weight sort of a thing can start as low as 8,000 bucks and so on and so forth.
Yes, yes, yes,
So
yes. So
depending on how you plan to do
8,000 to however fancy you want to get.
it. Yeah.
Uh, I like to get very fancy.
So yeah.
So
So
yeah,
in
so
and
eight
I'm
thousand
a,
to
yeah.
whatever,
I'm also a
and
believer that you can kind of get most of your work done with that force dryer if you remove the cone and
if you know how
speed
to
and
use it. Yes, you
yeah,
can get most of your work done. But why I'm saying a hand dryer is because sometimes you need a little bit of heat for cockers, as you
right,
would know. You need a
okay,
little bit of heat to get that hair really, really straight.
right,
Sometimes, you know,
right,
the cold air doesn't necessarily get your hair, like, get the hair really, really straight. So that's why
right,
a hand dryer. It's good to have
okay,
as a backup, and then if you've been out in the rain or something, you can blow dry your own hair with it as well. So
yeah,
most people have it at home.
right,
And the next thing is a stand dryer. Now, a stand dryer is used basically for finishing work.
right,
Um, you don't have to have it right at the beginning or ever, for that matter, because nowadays you get stands that can hold a hand dryer or
right,
can hold your force dryer. So the
absolutely, yeah,
basic the
yeah.
basic use of your stand dryer is that it's
Those
on a stand
arms,
and you're able to
yeah,
adjust it in a certain place, and like so
right,
if you're drying the dog, you can like brush while your dryer is throwing the
right,
air at that particular spot. So
absolutely,
that's a stand
absolutely,
dryer.
yeah.
Stand dryers are expensive, so 20-25,000 bucks is
Yeah,
what
I
I
think
think it is available at
a
right
good
now.
alternative is to use a force dryer with a grooming assistant arm, and if it can,
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
kind
You
of
get
adjust
dry,
it,
you get holders like grooming,
yes,
the same
which
holders
gets
you get,
fitted
so
to
you
the
can
table.
use.
So that
Yes,
kind
which
of
you can fit onto your table. So that works. So I think getting a table, a tub, and a force dryer is, I think you're set in terms of
absolutely
your big
right.
machinery, a heavy machinery.
Yeah,
Now, apart
and
from
a very
that, you
good
need,
clipper.
yes, of course,
Right,
a clipper,
right,
and this thing, and
and-
attachment combs.
right.
So I personally prefer metallic attachment combs. I don't like plastic ones
Okay. Yes.
because they don't cut as smooth. So
Right.
yeah, clipper attachment comb. If you can get two kinds of clippers, that's better. So like a corded and a cordless,
Cordless.
if
Yeah, I always
possible.
prefer
Yeah,
cordless. Yeah.
yeah. Cordless is easier to handle. It
Right.
doesn't keep tangling. The wire doesn't keep tangling everywhere and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So uh, and a cordless one also helps. When you're doing your hygiene areas and underneath the
Yes.
paws and things like that. So cordless clipper helps for that as well.
Right.
Your corded clipper, the cordless clipper doesn't last as long. So
Right.
hence you must have a corded clipper as well, unless you have a
You,
cordless that
you
has
won't
double
believe
batteries.
it. I have some really cheap clippers, cheap in the sense inexpensive clippers, which has lasted as long as now 7 years, 8 years. So, oh, sorry,
Wow.
6. Yeah,
Wow.
and I do all my cockers with it. And but disclaimers: I don't need to use a lot of it on every dog. It's just a little bit
Hmm.
on the ear and the neck and the chin, maybe, and that's pretty much about it. But it's lasted me that long. So
Yeah, so it
that
doesn't have to be expensive. Yeah, so
yeah.
like a cordless clipper you can get in, I think, about 8 to 10,000 bucks,
Even,
and
no, let me tell you, it starts from 3,500 up to 10,000 up to 42,000 bucks, maybe.
a cordless clipper. You're talking,
Yes,
okay, yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a range. 3,500, I wasn't aware of the 3,500 one because I haven't used it. I use
there
a
is one
particular
for
brand that I love.
3,600 which is sold by ABK AOLS. It is a very simple clipper which
Oh,
with that
okay, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
rotating head which adjusts the size. So if you do some breeds like cocker or stuff like that,
Right.
that's what you need. And I
Yeah,
use one of
but
these.
that is not for heavy duty work. That's for your little like lesser work, like your
Yeah,
hygiene
yeah,
trims
yeah.
and stuff like
It
that.
has to
Yeah.
be. But
So
I recently
yeah.
saw someone grooming a Shih Tzu with that clipper, which I couldn't believe myself. But I was like, wow, this can do that. And I was, quite impressed. I sat and watched that, live groom session for a little to see that clipper function, you know.
Okay.
I could never do anything beyond that little bit of the areas on the cocker, as you know, it's really nothing,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah,
all I
yeah.
manage. But for me, that kind of gets my job done. So
Right.
yeah, okay, let's
So
move
yeah,
on.
so then you have the clipper. So we've done four so far. Your tub, your table, your dryer, and your clipper. So these are your four main ingredients, so to
Yes,
speak.
and
Okay.
some
Then you
scissors.
have, yeah, you have scissors. Okay. Scissors again can be inexpensive and can be really really expensive. Ask me,
Right.
really really expensive. But
Have you
you can
tried the
get
new?
scissors.
Have you
The
tried
which
the new
one?
Roseline scissors and the Andes scissors that's come in the market now?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I use a different brand.
What is it that you
Um,
use?
I use Guive, I use Kenchi,
Ah,
and I
yeah.
use True Iconic. My True
Right.
Iconic scissors are my most expensive scissors,
Right.
and yeah, so I have like limited edition scissors as well. I have a like a I
Okay.
have a scissor fetish. So
So what?
let's not go into scissors. That's a whole different.
Yeah, but there's an interesting observation I made when Nina Kohonen came down from Finland, and she was obviously coming and going to teach me and teach many other people as well. So she asked me, "So what do you have there?" So I said, I can have all of these things, but she said, to be on the safe side, I'll bring my bag.
Yeah.
Safe to have
So it's not just about what's available and what's not. When you have your own equipment, it makes a lot of difference because you're used to using your equipment. So that that is definitely that
Sorry,
makes a difference.
I think you lost me.
You've
Am I
frozen.
back?
Yeah, you're back.
Still frozen? And she opens her bag, and I was like, okay, she is somebody who's groomed for 30 years. She's had 8 world winner titles. She grooms her own dogs. She's at all the big shows around the world. She takes out a bag and she's got one small thinning scissors, one straight scissors. She doesn't even use a curved scissor.
Because for
So,
cockers you don't really need it. I
yeah,
mean, not for English
yeah,
cockers anyway.
yeah, but
You don't
there
really
are
need
so
a
many people
curve.
until that.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, I use all my scissors. So yeah, I mean, only because I
Yeah.
want to.
So,
So
one
yeah.
very critical thing that she told me is for a groomer, time is money. So the lesser number of tools that you have to fiddle around with, you get your job done and get the dog off the table.
Mhm.
So, one of the very important things that I learned, and I think that's something that can go into everyone's mind, is that you can do with very little. So, which means you can have one straight scissor, one thinning scissor, and one curved, and you're done.
Yeah, and you get sets of three. Most brands,
Yeah.
sets of three, and you get it on these, websites. I mean, they may not be.
No, that is
They
true. But
sometimes
I'm
they're
not
hit or
so much
miss.
of a right. No, I'm not so much of a fan of those sets of threes that you get on websites. That was good when I didn't want to.
I've
The
actually
first
no.
time when I
You know what? No, no. I've actually used some of those and they work. So if I'm paying like
right.
3,500 bucks for three scissors and they last me for even 3 months, I think that's
Right.
worth my money. And there are a lot of my students
Mhm.
actually that buy these kind of scissors when they're starting off. It's like 3,500, 5,000 for a set of three scissors. So first of all, when you're
Yeah.
learning, right, you need to learn to handle your scissors. You're going to be dropping those scissors
Yeah.
1,500 times.
I
So
I have
when
my
you
daughter
spend
sitting
twenty
right next
thousand
to me.
bucks,
No, I have my daughter sitting right next to me. She writes a note in her diary and she shows it to me. Uh, Cheaper the better, tell them. The more expensive, the easier they break. She's written on her book and she's showing me. So, yeah, I think that's a very important point, especially when you're
so for
learning.
newbies,
Don't
yeah,
buy
for
expensive.
newbies, don't buy expensive scissors because your scissors are gonna fall, and when your scissors fall, your heart will break with them. Trust me. You know, I
No, they
I
break
don't.
first.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
So,
because what happens is when you drop your scissors, the alignment gets goes off, and when your alignment goes off, you can't have a smooth finish. So dropping your scissors
right.
is definitely a no-no, and buying expensive scissors when you're
And a
starting
lot of
out,
times it
I would
doesn't
say is
even
a
cut.
no-no. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times it doesn't even cut. So.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
no, because the
anyway, I think
alignment goes off, right? So that's why.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, we are already 45 minutes and I think
Oh, wow.
we're
Okay.
really running.
So yeah, okay. So you have scissors, then you have your brushes and your combs. You have nail clippers and grinders. You
Yeah.
have something that we use sometimes is a hemostat. A hemostat is
Shampoos,
something you
conditioners,
use.
sprays,
Shampoos,
serums.
conditioners,
Sorry.
leave-in conditioners, detangling sprays. But this is all
Right.
like detangling and this that and all that. These are things that these are like frills. What you actually need is
Yeah.
a good shampoo and a conditioner. If you're starting
Yeah.
out, getting a shampoo that is okay for all coats is better, because
Right.
when you're starting out, you're not going to have 20 dogs a day. You're going to probably have one or
Hmm.
two dogs, and both the dogs may or may not have long or short hair. So one
Okay.
shampoo that works for all kinds of dogs is great. So a cleaning shampoo, basically, because most
Okay.
why do we groom our dogs most of the time is to get them clean. Unless we're showing and things like that, then
Hmm.
you have different reasons why
Right.
to use
And
different shampoos. But yeah.
I think right. I think we have a ton of questions, people wanting tips, all of that stuff. So let us just start with some of those questions. I think we've covered this bit fairly well. Let's start with one of the first questions saying, please tell something about oil massaging in dogs, oil brands used for dogs, how it should be carried out, and for how much time, benefits, charges, etc. Okay, let's forget the charges, etc. Let's say that why is oil massage important and how do you do it?
Okay, so there are a lot of dogs that have dandruff or dry skin, or maybe some skin issues and things like that. So before using any kind of oil, I would recommend that you speak to your vet, because some oil suits some dogs and they don't suit other dogs. So you can use olive oil, which is a lighter oil. You can use even coconut oil is something you can use. Then you have specific doggy oils that you get. You can use like saffron oil, which is really good. I've seen that it works for ticks, it works for dandruff, it works for a lot of stuff. So yeah, there are
Right.
many different oils that you can use. If you have nothing and you want to oil your dog, your regular parachute coconut oil is good enough. Just oil them, massage them really nicely, and wash it off completely. And yeah, that's your
Hmm.
easiest bet. Or olive oil should be good as well.
But why do you recommend oiling the skin? I think that's one of the questions that people would be wanting to understand.
So
How does it benefit them?
many dogs end up with dry skin. For whatever reason, could be you're bathing them too often, or you're not bathing them often enough, or there's a diet change, or there are certain products that you've used on them that have not suited them. So oiling them helps. Like the reason we oil our hair, to get the circulation, the blood circulation going in our
How
heads, to
long
get
do
the
you
blood
think it
circulation.
is okay? Yeah. How long do you think it's safe to leave oil on the dogs? Do you leave them with the oil on?
I would say about half an hour, 45 minutes is more than enough. Yeah, and I
Okay.
think like when I do an oil massage, I normally I massage the dog for like a good half an hour, and then I take the dog
Hmm.
outside. So they go outside and they'll do
Right.
their poop and their pee and everything, and that's another 15-20 minutes, and then I put them in the bath. So they don't really get a chance to lick themselves. So don't give them a chance to lick
Okay.
off that oil, because though I mean if they're licking off coconut oil or something, it's not harmful, but it's avoidable. You
Right.
don't you don't want them to lick it off. So if at all you have a liquor, you can use virgin coconut oil, like cooking coconut oil,
Yeah.
on your dog.
So
So
I use
and
a
they can
lot of
eat that.
coconut
So
oil for my dogs. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
And me being from where I
you can put it
come
in their
from,
food as
it's all
well.
coconut oil.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I do all of that. And I sometimes leave my dogs on with the oil from morning till evening. For some of the dogs, I do another round of oiling by evening and then I bathe them the next morning.
Okay,
Because
so that,
when you,
yeah,
yeah,
the longer
so
you
I
leave it
leave it
on, the
really
more
well.
it's going to soak it in. But oil stops working after a point. So it'll
Right,
only
right.
it'll only work and
It,
give you the benefit for like half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour at most. And after that, it's just there. It's not, there's no benefit. So whether you leave it on or you don't leave it on, is it doesn't really make much difference,
okay.
you know.
So because
So
some
yeah.
of my dogs, I see that they absorb a lot more oil than some other dogs, but it's a dog to dog
So
thing. But
if
I,
your dog is if your dog is absorbing in a lot of oil, which means they could have a really dry coat or really dry skin. So then the
yeah,
fact that you're oiling them is great, because they need that moisture in their skin. They need that lubrication
right,
in their coat to let their coat be
yeah,
healthy and to let their skin be healthy. Yeah.
right. So I think there are also questions on grooming an American Cocker Spaniel. I think that's a question we'll get to much later. But I think there is a question on grooming double coated dogs like a Siberian Husky, or for that matter, a Golden Retriever or an English Cocker Spaniel. I think the undercoat is something what is being referred to here, and
Mhm.
it's something that is clearly ignored by a lot of people in India. And I think broadly, all groomers use clippers to take off a lot of coat from the dog. most of these dogs, especially English Cocker Spaniels. It pains me when I see them being clipped. So,
I know it
what's your
pains me
take on
too.
it, and how do you think? Yeah.
So again, this is
So,
where education comes in. Okay, this is where education comes in. Why you should not clip a double coated breed. So earlier, like I
right,
said, I had golden retrievers and I used to clip my dogs. I mean, I'm not proud of it, but I
right,
did it. As a pet owner, I'm talking like way back
right,
2005, 2006.
yeah,
Okay, I had no clue that it's not okay
right.
to clip them. But when you
Uh-huh.
clip a double coated dog, you are messing with their growth cycle, the hair growth cycle. So what happens is, this is a little technical, but yeah, I mean, rather than
Right,
clipping them off, you just brush them out really, really well. And what happens is when you're
right,
clipping them, you're taking away their natural insulation. Okay, you're taking away their protection
right.
from your external things like your abrasions, or like twigs and thorns and things like that.
So,
Or if they're getting into a fight, or you are taking away that protection. So it's basically like you are going out in the sun and standing naked, and then thinking that, oh, because I'm not wearing any clothes, I'm not going to feel hot. But you're going to get sunburnt, and you're going to
so that, yeah. So that's one side of it. What is the other side of deshedding then? I mean, there is a better way of doing it. And I think a lot of groomers, especially when it comes to English Cocker Spaniels, or maybe not so much in Golden Retrievers, but definitely in Cocker Spaniels, for the convenience factor, they clip the dog. But what they don't realize is if you continuously deshed your dog over a period of, 7, 8 months, by the time the dog is about a year and a half, starting from when they are 8 to 9 months of age to a year and a half, they're completely manageable after that. So,
yeah.
and this
Yeah, so
whole
when
summer.
you're
So
cutting
we'll
the
come to
hair,
the
when
summer
you're
cut. What
cutting the
happens
hair,
when
it's
you
gonna
clip?
get. So when you're cutting the hair, it's gonna keep growing back, right? When you're de-shedding them,
Right.
you're removing that hair from the roots. When you're cutting, you're just cutting like
Yeah.
half the hair. You're not cutting the entire thing.
Right.
So with cockers
Yeah.
and stuff like that, right? I mean, you would know they have undercoat, right? So you need to remove that undercoat. And as you keep
Yeah.
training their skin, to get rid of that undercoat, the undercoat starts lessening as they grow older. As they grow older, you won't have
Right.
as much undercoat as they had when they were puppies. You will have it. It's not like it completely
Right.
stops growing or anything like that. But yes, you have trained that
Yeah.
hair follicle to produce
But maybe
less undercoat. Yeah.
right. I think a good comparison is shaving versus waxing. Right.
Right, exactly. Shaving versus waxing. When you're shaving, if you're nice and pokey, you'll get those hair breaks. Those they call them bal toads, and oh my god, they're painful.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, waxing
Right.
is like painful for like 5 seconds, and then you're done. You're done for the month.
Yeah. But the good part is for the dogs, it's not painful, and it is done pretty much for life if you do it for about 8 months and it
So
doesn't come back
yeah, when
again.
you're
So none of my
de-shedding
adult
a
cockroach.
dog, yeah, it helps. First of all, you're stimulating the hair follicles. You're stimulating
Right.
their skin. Their blood circulation is a lot better. They're able to see. What we need to understand is dogs. Please be very, very, open all your ears and listen to this. Dogs do not sweat from their body. So when you shave your dog,
Yeah.
you're not helping your dog stay cool at all. It is not going to help. Yes, you can de-shed your dog and help remove undercoat, because what happens is when a dog is feeling cold, the hair will sort of sit down, okay, and it kind of blocks off the
Right.
air and keeps the body warm. When the dog is feeling hot, then the hair is going to stand
Yeah.
back up, okay, and let air flow through, and that is how they regulate their body temperature. So by you clipping that off, you are not giving the dog the option to cool or warm itself according to
Yeah.
what its body needs at that particular time. So when you're shaving a husky, right, and you're taking it out into the sun, that dog cannot protect itself, right? After you bring it out in the sun, you're
Right.
coming back into your AC room. The dog cannot regulate its body temperature, and other things
So
that
I think.
happen is,
Yeah.
go ahead.
So I think the first line of the PPGAI mission statement would be that no groomer shall clip these dogs.
Yes, definitely.
I think
The
that alone.
So there are groomers that clip dogs. Okay, I'm not saying that they don't, but there are
Right.
reasons why some dogs need to be clipped. Some of them have skin infections. Maybe they have really bad parasite infestations or things like that. And the vet has suggested that you clip the dog really, really short. Now, if you had to do that, you've done that. When you're taking your dog out in the sun or whatever, put on a t-shirt or something, because that dog needs protection. It's going to get sunburned. Eventually, if you're going to be doing this at a regular basis, your dog is going to get skin cancer. So, I
Right.
mean, today you think you're keeping your dog cool and you're doing like a great thing, you're being a super pet parent, but actually what you're doing is you're setting your dog up for like really bad health complications
Right.
later. So, and there's really no need for
And I think,
it.
yeah, so we'll jump from here to a very important topic, which is nail clipping. Nail clipping, it's sort of a taboo amongst, it's a fear factor with a lot of people that, you are scared of clipping the nail too short and the dog starting to bleed out. But one of the
Yeah.
issues that I have seen is also that, every time you're scared to clip the nail, you leave it a little longer, a little longer, and a little longer. You have an incremental increase in the length of the nail over a period of 2 to 3 years. So by the time the dog is 3 or 4 years old, even after clipping, the nails are really long. So what's your view on that?
So
Is it okay to actually
I'm
clip the nail for the dog to bleed?
So no, I don't like to make the dog's nails bleed. Yes, I have seen
Okay.
many people that do make the dog's nails bleed for the reason of
Mm-hmm.
pushing the quick back. So sometimes it has to be done, but that's something I would leave to a vet rather than a groomer. Because
Okay.
by
No, no,
exposing
I'm
that
not
vein,
saying. Uh-huh.
yeah,
No,
by
I'm not saying it
exposing
has
that
to be
vein,
done
what
by
you're
a
doing
vet or a
is,
groomer.
yeah, no, I'm saying by exposing that vein, what you're doing is you are, if you've cut it just a little bit and it bleeds just a little bit, and you're able to stop the bleeding quickly, uh, that's okay. Though I still wouldn't do it. But if you've cut it too far and it's really bleeding profusely and it's not stopping, there's a very real chance that your dog is going to get an infection. So I do not
Mm-hmm.
recommend cutting the nails, especially for pet owners, cutting the nails to a point where they're going to bleed. So
Mm-hmm.
I think the best thing to do, Cherian, in this particular case is you clip your dog's nails every week. So do a little bit
Right.
every week. So slowly and surely the quick is going to
So,
get pushed back. So what you are
so
saying,
which
I'm saying
means
the
that
opposite
every
of
pet
that.
owner.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to conclude to is that, so which means every pet owner says I'll get the dog's nail clipped when I go to grooming salon, but
Yeah.
whereas the reality should be that you should be cutting it at home every week.
You should know how to cut. If your dogs have, see, a lot of dogs, have run around space and they kind of grind their nails themselves. Okay, if they have
This is
like
mostly
a,
an issue.
this is mostly an
I would
issue
say
for
this is an
indoor
issue only
dogs.
with senior dogs, and medium and small sized dogs. Large dogs,
Yeah.
young large dogs do not have this
Yeah,
problem.
you don't really have this issue because they kind of just grind their nails themselves. But yeah, I mean, if they're walking on the road and stuff like that, their nails kind of get ground on their own, and you don't really need to do much. But if you have a dog that does
Mm.
have an issue with their nails, then yes, I would say invest in a nail clipper, a good nail clipper. The important thing is to have a sharp nail clipper. Having a blunt
Yes,
nail clipper hurts. It's like, when I'm trying to cut my nail and I'm like pressing hard and I'm, like squishing
yes,
the my skin and
yeah,
my bone as well. I'm going to yelp. I'm going to be like, dude, leave my nails alone. If you have a sharp nail cutter,
right,
you can just go zoop and you're done. So I think it's
absolutely.
very important to have like a super sharp nail cutter that you can really easily and cleanly cut your dog's nails with. If at all your dog allows, you can invest in a nail grinder and just grind the nails every few days. I think for breeders and stuff like that, a nail grinder is actually a great option because you can grind it
Nail grinder
really
takes
really
too long.
far. You can grind
No,
it
no,
really
nail
really far
grinder
back.
takes.
Yeah. No, but
No,
what
you can
brand do you have?
really grind far back, but sorry, Andis.
So okay. So you can, I mean,
So
there are other brands as well, and there are different bits that you
I'm
get. So
sure.
you can use the rougher bit.
No. I'm sure I'm familiar with the Dremels and the sorts, but I find it very easy for me to just clip because I'm most comfortable with that.
That's because you are comfortable with that, right? For a pet owner,
Yeah, yeah.
actually investing in a nail grinder might just be a better option because it's slightly
No,
safer
no, no.
in
I
terms
always
of.
recommend the nail grinder. Absolutely. For a pet owner, I always recommend a nail grinder. But I'm saying for a breeder who could be comfortable with clipping the nails, for them, a nail clipper would do. But for a home, yes, a nail grinder would be nice, and it kind of makes it even and smoother and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now,
And it's not scratching. stuff. Yeah.
How often do you see dogs coming back to a grooming salon for grooming?
We have a lot of dogs that are on a weekly schedule. But yeah, most of our dogs are in the salon between 4 to 6 weeks. So basically, they come in
So
for a
within
haircut.
this 4 to Right.
Yeah.
So now that since they come for a haircut, but what happens between that 4 to 6 weeks of gap that they have between coming to the salon and being at home? How do you recommend them that they bathe the dogs? And considering that bathing and drying is a foundation of a good grooming, how easy or difficult would it be if, depending on how the dog is groomed at home? So, do you offer courses for pet owners, or do you guide them when they come to you? Or how do you
I do
handle
guide
with
them.
this?
I do recommend shampoos and tools that you can use. Like, a really nice handy tool is a rubber curry brush. I don't have one on me right now,
Right.
but it's a
Right.
rubber curry brush. It's like this, like a brush that has these rubber, pointy things on it.
The blue.
So you can use it
The blue.
for pretty much any breed. You have a rubber curry brush, Cherian?
I'm just trying to get one. Max's brush.
Okay, so that is a good tool to use because that kind of helps get the
Right.
shampoo in right to the skin, and you can just
Yes.
kind of brush your dog while bathing it with shampoo on them. So you're cleaning your
Right.
dog, you're taking off any knots and mats. You can use it for a Shih Tzu, you can use it for a Labrador, you can use it for a Cocker Spaniel,
Right.
you can use it for any breed. It's a great tool for
Mm.
for baths, especially at home.
Right.
And
Right.
so yeah, and what I was telling somebody earlier, in the session, was you dilute your shampoo so
You
it
know,
spreads evenly.
yeah, that is why. I think what India is missing right now is also the importance of the use of conditioners,
Yes. So use of conditioners is very
because
important.
a lot of people buy shampoos. They never bother to buy a conditioner, and I speak to
Yes.
most of the people. For so it's just how important is conditioning? Why do you
Okay.
think conditioning is important?
So when you are shampooing the dog, right? So the hair shaft, basically, if this is the hair shaft, right? When you shampoo
Right.
the dog, the shaft opens.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the
Mm-hmm.
shaft will
Mm-hmm.
only close when it has enough moisture, right? So when you shampoo the dog, the
Right.
shaft has opened, right? And you don't condition, so the shaft is not going to close in a hurry. It's only going to close when all of
Right.
that moisture is like, gone off, right? And that's going to leave your dog with a dry coat.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll work once, work twice, work
Mm.
3 times, and eventually your dog is going to end up with a dry coat. So conditioning is important.
Right.
But having said that, there are many show dogs, including a Bichon, that does not require conditioning. There are only certain bits
Right.
and parts that we condition, and that also not every time. So just to maintain the
Right.
coat texture, it has to be like really fluffy and all the way up and stuff like that.
Right.
But for pet owners, I think conditioner is very important. If you have a lab, even then it's important. If you have a beagle, pug, Dalmatian, anything, because you need to close that shaft. You need to re-moisturize that hair shaft. And if that hair shaft is
So
re-moisturized, you're
there
going to
are
have a nice.
so there are shampoos that come as a conditioning shampoo. What do you have to say about them? And I don't think all shampoos are conditioning shampoos, but some of them claim to be conditioning shampoos. What are these
So I
products?
have I have I have used conditioning shampoos and conditioner. So even if it says conditioning
Mm-hmm.
shampoo, it cannot do the job. I mean, I feel that there is a bit of a logical problem there. If it's a shampoo, how can it be a
Right.
conditioner? If it's opening the shaft, how can it close
Yeah.
the shaft? So I feel
Right.
that is my personal view. I mean, the people manufacturing it might have a better explanation for that. But I would say even if
Right.
you're using conditioning shampoo, even then I would say use a conditioner. Maybe not a very
Right.
heavy conditioner. It doesn't need to be like you use like 3 kilos of oil on top of your dog kind of conditioner. But yeah, I mean just
Right.
a little bit of conditioner just to get the shafts to close and then wash it all off, and you're set. Like I don't know if you guys have ever like what I mean, I don't know about the guys. I'm sure the girls use conditioner. When you wash your hair only with shampoo and you walk out and your hair is dry after a few hours, you're
Very
like,
dry.
"Tsk," you know. And when you use
Yeah.
conditioner,
Yeah.
suddenly
Yeah.
your hair is nice and silky and shiny. Because you've used conditioner
Mm-hmm.
and you've closed your hair shaft. So actually see this in many shampoo ads, like all these
Right.
Pantene and
That's
and Head and Shoulders and all of you see this, this thing about the shampoo about
yeah.
the hair shaft opening closing. It's the same for dogs as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So jumping further, since we focused on maintenance grooming at home, pet owners brushing their dogs at home. A lot of people brush they think brushing is a good solution to an everyday brushing, which okay, it is good, but how can everyday brushing hurt the dog? For example, dry brushing. How can, especially when the dog has dry coat, dry skin, etc. And would you think it is a good idea to have conditioning sprays or leave-in conditioners on it, and why? You know.
So how rough you're being with the dog will make a lot of difference.
Mhm.
So whether or not you
Right.
have a conditioning spray will not really matter if you're being super rough. So if you're like
Okay.
for example, I have a sticker brush here, right? So if I'm going to be like, I'm getting hurt,
Right. Right.
okay, but if
Right.
I use it really like really gently, and I'm doing like
Right.
tips to roots,
Right.
I'm taking out your knots. Okay, so I'm taking out the
Right.
dog's knots, regardless of whether or not I have a conditioning spray. Okay, so yes,
Right.
it does help to have a conditioning spray, especially with your Shih Tzus and Apsos and things, even Cockers. For the
Right.
for
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
long bits. Especially their
I
butt.
love to have a
A lot
conditioning spray.
a lot of
Yeah.
a lot of Cockers come with knots. In their groins, like on the inside of their bum. Many
Yeah.
of my
I think
Cockers come.
that's yeah. But
Yeah,
those
so
are
brushing
areas
over
where you
there.
don't need. Yeah, no, no, no. I'm saying when you really do a show grooming. So a lot of people say, especially for cockers, not for other breeds particularly, show groom cocker is one of the easiest to maintain ways of having a cocker. While you have all the coat, you don't have many things to worry about if you show groom the cocker right. I think we will take that up as a separate session, because that's
That's
a
a session maybe
huge
you
area
should
we
do.
can. So, nevertheless, I think we have a question from Tanmay Juvekar about right use of conditioning and rinsing, dilution of conditioner for at-home pet parents. I'll just put up that question here. I think we discussed about diluting the shampoo. That's also something that can be done with conditioner. But in my experience, a little warm water, is what works on a conditioner, and then that you can spray on or use. However, how do you typically use conditioner, Andrea?
So yes, we do use warm water, but it's not necessary because some dogs are not okay with warm water and they get rashes and things like that, because we have those kind of issues as well in our grooming salon. So even cold water is
Mm-hmm.
fine. Basically, the proportion that we normally take is like a mug of water and maybe a teaspoon of conditioner.
Mm-hmm.
So you put a teaspoon of
Right.
conditioner and you put like loads of water and you just like ruffle it up and get it really mixed up really well, and then just pour it all over the dog. You know, and I would
Mm-hmm.
concentrate on behind the ears, the groins, the collar area. The places where you normally find knots. In the armpits, behind the butt, the tail, the legs. All these areas are where you really need to put conditioner. So first, I would suggest get your mug and first pour conditioner over these areas and then go over the back. What people normally do is they pour it over
Right.
the back and then they go to the legs and the parts that actually mat. So putting it over the
Right.
back doesn't really solve your problem. You have a problem with your dog matting on the legs or behind the ears. So put
Right.
conditioner there first rather than everywhere else. And then when you dilute it, it's a lot easier to wash off. Because when you're
Right.
taking like a chunk of conditioner and you're like just rubbing your hands and putting it, then you're getting too much conditioner in one
Right.
portion and no conditioner in another place, right? When you're diluting it, you're
Okay.
getting even conditioner all over. The same thing with your shampoo. So when you
All right.
dilute, you get it even all
Okay.
over.
Right. So, I think somebody has written a comment saying cockers come with ear infections. Do you really see ear infections in cockers?
It is quite common, and it is also
Okay.
it's because of bad breeding, I would say. Also, I think it's a genetic thing as well.
Okay.
But the reason why cockers tend to get ear infections because they have droopy ears. Okay, and
Right.
also the reason why you shave off the top half, the top one third of your cocker's ear,
Yes.
is to allow for that air circulation, right? Because they
Yeah.
are really
So
really
I think
heavy, correct?
yeah. So I want to elaborate further on that. A lot of people trim the top part of the cocker ear on the outside. I think it's also important to do the inside of the ear and
Yeah,
the
yeah. You're
inside of
supposed
the
to do it
neck.
all the way around. Yeah,
So that Yeah, so the all of the neck, all of the ear inside, and only then that air circulation happens. So typically,
yeah.
the rule of the thumb, or one good way to look at it, would be if you're looking at your cocker from the front, you should be able to look through that little gap that you get between the ear and the neck.
Yep,
So
yep.
the
That's how
coat
it is.
is cut short.
Yeah.
So that I think can manage a lot of cockers with ear infections, and I don't see a reason why they should come with ear infections, because because I never have it. So with basic care and just this, I think you can do without ear infections in
So I
cockers.
think,
I
I'll
think
just cut you off a little bit there on the cockers.
oh,
The reason your dogs don't have an
yeah,
ear infection is probably because you keep your dog's ears clean, and of course it's like shaved off, and there's enough air circulation. So what I
yes,
would recommend to people that have cockers at home and are probably not
yeah,
able to do the shaving off thing or something, first I would recommend that you get it shaved off by a groomer. Secondly, you can clean
right,
your dog's ears. You can use a cotton ball and some
yeah,
ear cleaner. You get ear cleaners in the market,
yeah,
or you can get one that your vet has
yeah,
recommended. If not, you can use
right,
tissue paper and just wipe the parts of the ear that you can see. You don't need to go all the way into the ear
yeah,
canal and get to the eardrum and try to clean that, but you can still, the parts that you can
yeah,
see, you can still clean that. So I would think
yeah. I think for
maintaining
the
your
tissue
dog's
paper,
ears
I
at
have a
home
little.
is important. You have a problem with tissue
Yeah,
paper?
use soft toilet. No, no, no. I said yes.
Soft tissue
Use
paper.
soft
Yes.
toilet
Yeah,
paper.
yeah. The face. I use that. I
Yeah,
do that
either
for my
face
own
one
dogs.
or yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So you can use
yeah,
either
right,
either face tissues, but then again with face tissues you have to be careful because they're really, really thin. So what I normally do is I like
yeah,
fold it like four ways and then I use it. So I have a little it's a
right. And
little bit thicker and still soft. So yeah.
right. And we have Weasel saying, commenting about she uses her own recipe of mist spray before
Weasel, please
brushing, and it
share
does
the
wonders.
recipe with us.
Yeah, that's right. So I recently saw this new product in the market. I don't know if it is new. I happened to come across this only recently. It is that Vita Oil Coat Oil Conditioner by BioGroom. Have you tried? I'm a big BioGroom fan, by the way. But
I
have you
use
tried something
Viagram
like
as well.
that?
Yes. I have not
Right.
tried that,
So
no.
have you? Oh, you've not tried that. Okay, I've been
I haven't
using
tried.
that, and it's fun to use. It's it's so I think it'll take some more time for me to kind of. I just got one more bottle today. I think this is what it is. Uh,
Oh,
can you see that?
nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a fun thing to use, and I think for every maintenance grooming at home or everyday brushing, this goes with 1 tablespoon in a liter of water. So you can just fill up your spray bottles and use it. So this is what I use to
For
kind of
everyday
brush the
conditioning.
dogs.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
that helps, prevent
So
breakage and stuff like that. Especially in show,
yes,
the less hair you break, the better. Because otherwise, you're going to have a dog with like frizzy hair standing up all over the place.
yeah, and I think before we forget this, Weasel has put up her recipe on here. She uses a mixture of water, 15 to 20 drops of coconut oil, 10 drops of glycerine, 10 drops of essential oil, lavender, or rosemary. Fill in any clean spray bottle and use it every time you brush your dog. Never brush dry hair. It breaks hair and spoils hair quality. That's an interesting recipe. We should try that out.
Yep. I think I'm going to note
I,
it down.
I think, yeah, yeah,
I think I'm
yeah.
going
My
to keep
daughter is
calling
just
Weasel
writing it
after
down.
this.
Yeah. Okay. And now, for everyone who's viewing this show, we've taken a long time, but I think we are really not done talking. And for your information, Andrea won a grooming competition in Australia, grooming an American Cocker Spaniel, and I have personally seen how beautifully she does the Bichons. So we've had a question on and on. Somebody's been following. Girijesh Bajaj has an American Cocker
Hi,
Spaniel.
Girijesh.
Please give Oh yes, please give some grooming tips for Girijesh and for everyone else.
Okay. Well, brush your dog every day, definitely. Make sure there are no knots in your, in the coat. And when you bathe your dog, make sure you dry your dog 100%. So don't leave any damp coat inside, especially with an American Cocker because they have a really, really thick coat, especially on their legs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So make sure that you're not leaving any damp hair, at the roots. So what happens is when we
Right.
blow dry a Cocker, we blow drying and then, the top of the thing looks nice and dry and we run our fingers through and it's just a little bit cool and, it's fine. I think I'm done.
Yeah.
This has already taken me like 3 hours. But if you have an American Cocker, you need to get that Cocker dry right down to the roots, So I think
It's
for Cocker
I
grooming,
dread
that
when I
is
look at
what?
yeah, I
When you
dread
look at
when
an
I see an
American Cocker, oh
American
my God, it takes a month of Sundays. But the result that you get when you have done it really, really well is worth it. It's just worth it. So
There
yeah.
are people who tell me, American Cocker is so easy, and why are you so
American
scared and
Cockers
stuff
are
like that.
easy. Oh my god. Hmm.
So I find English Cockers difficult for my own good. And then I'm like, come on, I have eyes, and I can see how much more coat is on that dog. And how is it possible to keep them like that? Either you have to keep them indoors all the time and hold a cup when they have to pee, I guess,
Well, you do
or
the little ponytails for them, and get their hair when
yeah,
in between maintenance
and
rooms.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But am I not? Am I right when I say that they are actually a lot more work than every other breed that I see around, especially more than English Cockers, isn't it?
Yeah, they're definitely more than English Cockers, only for the simple fact that they have more hair. That's
Okay,
all. So and the difference in their, the grooming style is slightly different. Like they have to have bevels on their feet, which takes a lot of skill.
right,
They
right.
Yeah, I mean, the head bump needs to be till a certain
The head,
point, and all of those kind of things. So
yes,
there are a few technicalities that you need to follow. So those are
right.
important. So
And
if
that
you have an
beveling of the
American
leg
Cocker
is so
dog,
important.
the
Yeah,
bevels are very, very important, and getting them right. Oh my God, that
yeah.
dog just looks amazing. I mean, just
So
amazing.
I think for the benefit of the pet owners, I think before you worry about the bevels, and which is something that you should leave it to
So
professional
Girish is
groomers
actually
maybe,
a
but
breeder. So
okay, so I think the key is to get them with all the hair to the groomer.
yeah, I'll take that, Girish.
So make sure that your dog has all the hair and that it is not knotted, and that you manage to
Yeah.
actually take your dog with all that hair to the
So
groomer.
yeah, so a good way to maintain is that you should tie ponytails, near their bum, near the tail area. Just tie ponytails and keep
Right.
the hair away, because when they pee and poop
Uh-huh.
and stuff like that, they do tend to. Because when I was competing in the US last year, and I
Mhm.
bathed my cocker. I was doing an American cocker again, and I bathed the dog and I dried it, and I took like 3 hours, and the dog had loosies, and she literally
Okay.
walked out of that bathing and drying area and she pooped. And I was like, and the competition was like in the next 2 hours types. And I'm like, oh my God, not again. Went back, did the whole thing all over again. So yes, definitely the ponytails is, yeah, something you should
Okay.
consider. Yeah.
So I think one of the things that always intrigue me is also this dry shampoo business. What how does this dry shampoo thing work? I don't think I've ever used it.
To be honest, neither have I. I don't really use dry shampoo, but Menas does.
Okay.
Menas
Okay.
actually might have more to say about dry shampoo than I will. But basically, dry shampoo would be, if you don't have access to wet shampoo and your dog is dirty, and it just helps
Right.
remove all the debris and stuff like that, and you don't have to wash it off. So that's like what, as the
Right.
name suggests, it'll just
Okay.
take off all the extra dirt and stuff like that. So it's more. I wouldn't say it's like you cannot do like a full bath with a dry shampoo, but yeah,
Hmm.
I mean, it's used a lot in
Okay.
cats, I believe, because Menas is a great cat groomer. So again,
Right.
she would know better here. But it is used in cats, and you for their stud tail and things like that. I think a lot of cat groomers use it, but I'm not
Okay.
really sure. Oh, you
So
don't, Menas?
just to
Okay.
round up about maintenance grooming at home, guys, use good quality shampoo, use conditioner always, try and use a conditioning spray or anything similar. You
One
can
more
even
point,
dilute
please,
conditioner in
about
water.
home grooming and about home grooming and bathing your dog at home. If you are not sure about how to bathe your dog, and if you are scared that you're going to get water into your dog's ears, which is what happens very often, please shove some cotton in the
Right.
ear canals before you put any water
Yeah.
on your dog's head. And of course, if you have a short-nosed dog like a pug or a Shih Tzu or Frenchie or something like that, please be careful not to get water into their nose. So if at all you
Right.
feel that you're not going to be able to do that, I have a video on YouTube which you guys can check out. It's how to clean the face. So you just use some warm
Okay.
water and
Yeah.
gauze, not cotton but
And
gauze,
yeah, I
and
think
just
one of
gently just clean up
yeah.
that area. So, yeah.
So one of the, I think, important things that people can do at home very easily are use those ear wipes and eye wipes and make sure that the eyes are clean
Yes,
and the
yes,
ears are
you can
clean.
do that. Yes, you do get really nice ear wipes and eye wipes that you can use, which
Yeah,
are
and
quite
even
helpful.
to
Yeah.
flush the eyes, you can even use NS, which is the IV fluid that you get, NS
Yes,
to flush
saline
the eyes.
solution. So you can even
Yeah,
use your Renew solution. You know, the contact lens
contact
cleaning
lens. Yeah,
solution. You can then, yeah, you can use that as well.
right.
So if you feel that there's some dirt or sand or anything gone into your dog's eye, you can just hold the head back and just pour the
Right.
solution over the eyeball till the debris comes out. So
Right.
that's actually a great thing to do for yourself as well. In
Hmm.
case you get something in your eye and it's just not coming out, just hold your head to a side and just pour that Renew or contact lens
Right.
solution over your eye and
Yeah.
let the
Let it.
water flow out.
Yeah.
It just helps flush out whatever is stuck in the
Absolutely.
eyes. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I think we should. We started off with this right at the beginning, but we should now get to it at least before we close down. So, grooming short-haired dogs and professionally grooming them. What does it take, and why is it important?
So a lot of people think that if you have a short-haired dog, you don't really need to go to a groomer.
Mm-hmm.
So while you probably don't need to go to a groomer maybe every week. I
Mm-hmm.
would suggest you go to a groomer at least once a month or maybe once in 2 months,
Okay.
because the way the groomer is going to groom your dog is going to be first of all, it's going to be very different from the way you groom your dog at home.
I would
Okay,
start with the word thorough.
exactly. So it's like, I mean, if you look at yourself, right? If you go to a salon and you get your
Yeah.
hair washed at a salon, right?
Yeah.
And they wash it like really well, and then they'll just lightly blow dry it. They won't do like a major blow dry job, but it just looks 100 times better than how what you do at home. Even though
Yeah.
you think you're very thorough and you're doing it
Yeah.
thoroughly and you're blow drying it at home, it just doesn't look the same. So yes, uh, it is our job as groomers to be thorough. So that is why we are groomers. We've learned how to do it.
Mm.
Secondly, it helps control shedding.
Right.
So again, because we are so thorough, it'll help control your shedding at home.
Right.
Thirdly, when you take your dog to a groomer, it's
Mm-hmm.
not just grooming. Okay, this is really important. So it's
Right.
not just grooming. Your groomer is looking at every single square inch of your dog. Okay,
Yeah.
every single square inch. So any bump, any bite, any lump, any rash, anything
Right.
is going to get noticed by your groomer. Okay, because that force dryer that we spoke about, that's like
Yeah.
really really strong, and even a Labrador's hair like goes like shh, like that.
Right.
So you
Right.
can
Right.
actually see the skin. So
Yeah.
if you take your dog to a groomer and God forbid something is going on with the skin and you haven't noticed it, the groomer
Mm-hmm.
can bring that to your attention and then you can fix it before it's too late.
Okay.
So okay, so that's another thing. And ears
Mhm.
and nails, ears and nails. Sometimes, okay, maybe the four digits that touch the ground, those ones get nicely filed off. But what about the
Mhm.
dew claw?
Right.
They have a dew
Yeah.
claw as well.
Everyone forgets to clip the dew claw,
Exactly.
and it goes
So
round
you need to
and
clip,
comes around
yeah,
like
and it
that.
goes like, and you're gone. So yeah, you
Yeah.
need to clip the dew claw as well.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, and Saint Bernards, they have like some 20 dew claws. So
Yeah. Yeah.
and they're really thick. So you have to. I'm like hedge cut or
Yeah. Yeah.
something. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so
Mhm.
yeah. So yeah,
Okay.
nails, ears, looking at the skin, yeah, any lumps and bumps. So a few reasons why you should groom your short-haired dogs
Okay. So,
professionally.
can I get to some more questions quickly before we have to end this session? I think we'll have to do a part two for this session, but nevertheless, let me get to another question. How do I choose an ideal groomer for my pet?
Okay, so that's an important question. Okay, so
And
the
let me top it with the follow-on question because we don't have a lot of time on hand. So, and also, what is the difference between a trained and untrained groomer?
Okay, so when you go to a trained groomer, okay, there's one thing that you need to remember: a trained or a certified groomer. Okay, that groomer has spent time and energy in learning to do your dog the best that they can. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so maybe the groomer has been only grooming for a month or a year or 20 years. It doesn't matter. Okay, the fact that that groomer has taken the trouble to educate themselves on how your dog should be groomed or handled or taken care of, that itself should hold enough weight, which is why PPGAI is important. Okay, and
But I have a point of difference there. Sorry to stop you there.
Yeah.
A lot of people go and take these short courses, and they become certified groomers, and and then there are groomers questioning each other, saying who certified you and who certified me, and so on and so forth. But above all, there is this belief that this is this is an art.
Right.
It is an art of grooming, right? So
It is
do
an
you?
art. It is an art,
Mhm,
but you
mhm.
still need to know anatomy. You still need to know types of coats. You still need to know the
Absolutely.
different breeds. So that is what you're supposed to educate yourself in. The art part, of course, it's a creative thing. You can
So
create whatever you want.
no, no.
Creatively, you can do whatever
One
you
is it
want.
being. I agree. I agree. One being it being art, the other it being years of experience. Someone who's been handling dogs, someone who knows the anatomy. And sorry to say that I have met with a lot of groomers who don't understand anatomy. They are certified groomers, but and personally speaking, while I say that education is important, learning is important, in many forms. It could be a formal, organized way of learning where you get certified at the end of it. My own kids are homeschooled, so which means they don't go to school, right? So
Right.
I believe that they can learn enough being at home, and
But
as long as they can.
Cherian, your kids are homeschooled, right? Tomorrow, if they have to get into college, would they have to give an entrance test?
Maybe.
Would they have to write a, they'd have to probably write an essay or
For
something?
sure,
It's not
for sure.
maybe.
Yeah,
If you
yeah,
want to
yeah.
put them in any Ivy League college, they have to give that, or any
No.
college for that matter, any kind
So
of this thing. If they want to go
let's
to a
say
college, they need to give that exam,
let's
right?
forget college, let's forget anything. But before you get on a job, you have to probably clear an interview or a
You have
test
to
or
show
anything.
some kind of proof that you are worth your metal.
Agreed, but unfortunately, grooming as a profession is a self-employment profession to start with,
Right.
and then eventually people might grow into a employment generating business. But first and foremost, it's a self-employed profession. And also, what happens is, if I compare it to a hair salon, I can cut people's hair, but I can't cut a dog's hair. And it could be that I have really done a lot of it. And I mean, I think this is a discussion that can go on in
So,
multiple directions. But
So the reason why we set up the PPGAI, right,
Mhm.
was to test our groomers, okay,
No,
that
no,
we
no.
are
When
up
you
to this,
say
up to a
our
certain standard.
groomers, what does that mean?
Our groomers in India, right? So,
Okay,
like all of us have, there are many of us that have gone out and educated ourselves. Okay,
right,
not all of us agree with everything all the time, right?
right.
But there are certain things that you have to agree with, like like don't leave your dog unattended on the table. Now, that
Right.
is not something, whether you're a trained or an untrained or whatever groomer,
Hmm.
that is basically it's common sense,
Right.
right? But it still needs to be said.
Right.
Okay. Like when you have an old dog or a tiny puppy or something like that, how you handle
Right.
that dog is going to make a lot of difference.
Right.
If it's an old dog, the dog probably has arthritis, so maybe you
Hmm.
should let the dog sit for a little while rather than letting that dog stand for 2 hours.
Right.
Understand? Now, these are the kind of things, if you look at it one way, it's common sense.
Hmm.
Okay. But when you look at it another way, a lot of people don't realize these things.
But is it too early? Isn't it too early to be testing right now? Where the level, which is where I stopped you when you said Asian fusion at that point in time, because people are not even scissoring their dogs. Forget about getting to Asian fusion. All they're doing is shaving at the moment. You know.
Not everybody, Cherian. I think there are a lot of good groomers out there as well.
No, no, no. I'm not. By no means, I'm not saying that all groomers are like that. But when we speak of an organization like this or an association like this, and when there is the greater population of this country, which is huge, is involved, I feel that the level of groomers is still not there. Barring maybe I can count on my fingers how many of are who are trained well and who have learned well. You attending a
So
class
that
is
is why
one.
we are bringing this platform forward, right? That is why
Right.
we are opening it up to the entire country. So,
Mm.
it's not, if you want to be certified by, say, the Professional Pet Groomers Association of India, right?
Mhm.
I'm not saying that I am the end all and know all of everything. I am not.
No,
Okay. I
no.
am not,
You are only a
but
founder member.
I
It is
am
an
a means
association,
to
right?
an end. I am a
Right.
means to an end. I am
Right.
bringing that information to you.
Right.
Okay. So I am trying to up the industry in India because I want India to be on the map. Why shouldn't we?
Right.
I mean, is there any dearth of creativity in our country? Oh hell no. We have
No.
some really amazing people in our country, and we have billion like a billion of them.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Yeah.
there is this huge gap. I mean, we have like 1.2 billion people, and we don't have a groom team in India.
Right.
Why? Are
Why?
you trying to tell me that in 1.2 billion people,
How
there are
soon?
five people who
How
are
soon do
good
we?
enough,
How can
who
we
are
get
good
a
enough
groom
to
team together?
compete
How soon can that be done?
tomorrow? But yes, I mean, it is on the cards. It is on the cards. Why not? I mean, we're aiming there. We are aiming to be world standard. Why should we be काम चलाओ? The problem with India and Indians is काम चलाओ. अरे काम
Yeah.
चल रहा है. Just
I
just
don't
do
like
it.
Kam
हाँ,
Chalao
ठीक
and
है.
I don't like 19 piece. I
Exactly.
don't.
So
Yeah.
that is a culture that we are from. Okay,
Right.
so we need to make sure that we are like getting up there, yeah, the world stage. Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, what's wrong with us? What
Right.
is there anything less in us than an American or an Australian? I mean, why do we even need
Absolutely
to
not.
go to America and Australia to learn?
Right.
Why are we
So,
not good enough?
how soon would be now? We are really running out of time, so we'll have
I
to
know we're like
wrap
way
up.
over our time.
Yeah. But how soon do we have an announcement from PPGAI on the courses available for new and upcoming groomers?
We are working on it, and
Okay.
hopefully by next month we should be able to have something going.
So would it be?
So
I mean, I think we have to be
it's
very
going to be
careful
a
with
very basic. It's going to be.
timelines
It's going to be very
because
basic. Okay.
there's only so much we can teach online.
Yes.
So I think you
So
still have
we're
to.
going to be doing a lot of other stuff as well. So
Right.
like in different cities, we're going to have people who have enough experience and stuff like that to go to salons for people who cannot come for exams or come to be tested or stuff like that. So
Right.
we're going to be us, all of the
No,
team
no, no.
members
My
are going to,
question is
somebody else
again,
will go and test.
you've gone back to the exams already. My point is,
Mhm.
why do we discuss exams before we do classes?
Because a lot of people are already certified.
Okay, and
Okay,
how
but
did that certification happen?
so they've been here, there, and everywhere and been certified. So while we respect the certification, all we need to see is that they're up to a certain standard. So,
Mhm,
like say I have been certified by an XYZ place, right?
mhm,
And they have taught me certain things, right?
mhm,
Now, to be part of the PPGI or to be certified by PPGI, you should know a
mhm.
certain level of stuff. Like you should know certain basics to be a
Okay,
basic groomer. For us
okay,
to be able to endorse you, saying that okay, the PPGI endorses you and says
okay.
that you have this knowledge or you have made this effort, and
Mhm,
now we will endorse you and we'll say tell your clients that okay, this groomer has taken the time and the effort to
mhm.
educate themselves, and the chances of
But
them doing a
don't
good
you
job
think
with
a
your dog
client
are
would?
higher.
But don't you think a client would know in one grooming session how good the groomer is?
How would they know? I
They
mean,
would
if
see
you
the
do a
dog that
bad,
if
not
the dog is got.
necessarily, yeah. Not
Sorry.
see, not necessarily. Okay, a bad haircut, maybe you'll be able to tell, or I don't know, maybe an injury or something, you'll be able to tell a bad groomer, right? But what
Mhm.
about handling? What about handling? What if you mishandled the dog?
No,
You
no,
were
but that
inside
is not
a
just. I think there it's not the issue of knowing or not knowing. It is also how your brain is, how your mind is tuned to this, and how you
yes.
really choose to handle the dog. So there is no
No,
monitoring of
no,
such.
no,
It
no,
is
no,
whether
no,
you
no.
are
There
asking.
is, there is, there is, there is, there is monitoring of how you
No,
handle the dog on the TV.
monitoring would
There is
mean that you
certain
should have a
protocol that
live
you need to
camera
follow.
where. No, no, no. I'm saying
Yes.
by monitoring, you would mean that every salon should have a camera which is open to PPGI to sit
Yes.
and watch.
No,
Is
no,
that
no,
what you're
not to
saying?
PPGI, not to PPGI. Just have CCTV camera on your premises. So
Okay.
tomorrow, God forbid, if something goes wrong, you
Hmm.
have some kind of video evidence of what
Okay.
happened.
Of
Anything
course.
can happen. It could be your fault. It could be, the dog
No, no, no. But
did
I
something,
think
or somebody else, or
in an Indian perspective, that's coming to us another level where, I mean,
hmm.
just recently I heard of some dog boarding where a dog died. It drowned in the pool and died, and whether there was CCTV or this or not or whatever, that didn't really help anything.
So Cherian, that is an accident. Okay, it's not every day. These people are not taking these dogs and drowning them.
No, no, no.
You
So
have to
I'm not saying.
understand that.
No,
So
no,
what
no.
happened? What
Yes,
happens is, okay, accidents happen. Okay, so I'm not saying what happened was good or bad or anything like that, because obviously
mhm.
it's unfortunate, and who would want a dog to get injured in their premises,
No, no,
right?
no.
But
So that's my
there is
contention.
a
That
certain safety protocol that should have been taken in terms of,
absolutely.
closing that area off. Okay, that should have happened.
That is precisely my point. So if
Huh.
that is not there, then that is where the
Yeah,
issue is. But then when you have a door and you leave it open, which is similar to, a groomer might know what are the
that
right
is human
protocols to
error.
follow.
That is human error. That you can't do too much about.
No, no, no. That I would say is also. I mean, I think from a groomer perspective, it's like you may choose after knowing the protocols, you may choose to follow it or not follow it. So I'm
Uh,
saying at the end of it, it all depends on the person who's really doing the
it does
job.
depend on the person, Cherian. I mean, come on, you get your driving license. It's up to you, no, to drive within the speed limit and not jump
Absolutely.
signals.
Yeah, yeah. But
So,
it is
but
a
you still have to have your driving license to drive, right?
Yeah, but for the driving license, it's a regulatory authority who is doing it. And now, as an association, till you gain momentum to gain acceptance for people to say that,
Mhm.
yeah, I like PPGAI stamp on it because there is popularity for PPGAI because people know what PPGAI stands for. And that what they stand for is first teaching and then testing and then ensuring that the quality goes around. And I think if you
Correct.
go in that order, in general, they would be more
That is,
accepted.
yeah, that is the order in
Yeah.
which we are going. Yes,
No,
that is
so
the order.
which is why I said before training, how because you spoke about tests is why I brought this up. But I think this is good for now. We really have to do another session on PPAGI. Sorry, PPGAI,
PPGAI.
PPGAI, and on setting up a grooming business. And I think there will be a lot of people wanting to hear more about it. So next one specifically on setting up a grooming business and on PPGAI and then signing up and training with PPGAI. Menas Khan says here membership is open for everybody. So what
It
is the
is.
criteria for membership with PPGAI?
So when you become a member of PPGI, we are going to be having workshops. So we
Mhm.
start with education, like we said, right?
So can
So we're going to
anyone
be having
become a member?
workshops. So when
Can anyone
anybody can
become?
become, anyone can become a member.
Okay.
What happens with the membership is you don't get a stamp of approval from PPGI. You're a
Yeah.
member. So what
Right.
you get in the membership is you get to attend the workshops that we
Right.
organize.
So are the
Whether it's
memberships open at the moment?
at a yes, memberships are open at the moment.
Where
Yes.
do people sign up for memberships, Andrea?
So we have to go to www.ppgai.com.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let me put that up.
Yeah.
www.ppgai.com is
So
where
we
you.
don't have a payment gateway on there as yet, but
Okay.
the membership is really nominal.
Okay.
We're doing direct bank transfers right now.
Okay.
So anybody who wishes to be a member can drop us an email, and we'll the same,
Okay. And how much does the
send them the
membership
bank
cost
details.
at the moment?
It's only $2,500 for a year.
Okay. Fantastic.
So, I
Okay.
mean, barring COVID, we were actually going to have a workshop every month at least. But now
Right.
that COVID has taken over the world, we
Okay.
have to kind of,
All right.
hold
So
off.
I think, guys, everyone who's viewing this, whether you are a groomer or an aspiring groomer or a home groomer, I think there will be a fair amount of
Even pet
material.
owners, even if pet owners
That's
want
what
to
I
be
said.
members,
Yeah.
we can be members,
So,
and they are most welcome to come in because our workshops are open to everyone, not just groomers.
right.
So if you
So
are a
I
dog
think.
enthusiast, then the
Yeah, I think
workshop
the
will
key
be open.
is to get a lot of material, on grooming and on everything else, maybe even
Yeah.
first aid for dogs and stuff like that. And I'm sure there will be eminent panelists coming on board, and
We
all
will
that.
eventually. We're going to start with Indians because we have no money and we can't afford to get any,
It doesn't matter.
international people
Sometimes,
right now.
sometimes it doesn't take money to get a lot of things done. So let's hope that, in fact,
Looks like you're going to be investing in us, Cherian.
now, in fact, I would have somebody coming visiting. If not for the COVID, we would have had another session already by now, but
Hmm.
not now. In fact, I was planning something for September, but let's see who can come down when they can come down, and I'm sure we will have a really really nice session. And I have a soft corner for Cocker Spaniel, so expect everything around that, and maybe some more. so but the next time somebody comes, I think we're going to have someone who is also grooming poodles and everything else. So more soon on that. But guys, check out PPGAI, and we should definitely have a session soon back with Andrea on PPGAI and membership benefits and on starting up of a pet grooming salon and business. Thank you so much joining Andrea and inspiring a whole lot of
Thank
us
you so much for
and
this very
showing us what
long,
you.
but I didn't even realize how long it was. Wow, 1 hour and
Yes,
40 minutes.
yeah, it
Nice.
is 1 hour and 40 minutes. And thank you so much
Okay.
for even introducing someone like me to grooming. And I have really hung around your vans when it was parked in Shirley Garden in Bombay. And
I'm glad. I want to introduce many more people to grooming. So yeah,
so,
I want it to be
thank,
a thing.
thank you very much. And thank you to all our viewers for joining us
Thank
today for
you.
such a long session. And we really couldn't go deep into too many of the topics that we would have wanted to go, but I think each line of it is an hour-long conversation for us, and especially even if we pick up a pair of scissors, I think Andrea and I could speak
Oh,
for
oh
at
yeah.
least
Oh
an
yeah.
hour, right?
Oh yeah.
So,
Definitely. If not more.
absolutely. So, thank you so much for joining, and we should hopefully do more on this more soon. I'm actually hosting tomorrow a session on training. So, see you all tomorrow evening. And thank you, Andrea, for joining us, and hope
Thank
you
you.
will
Thank
come
you so
back
much
on
for
this again.
having me. It was really fun. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Thanks,
Thank,
Diesel. Thanks, Rana. Thanks, Cherian. Thanks, everybody, for
yes.
for all your comments and stuff like that. Thank
Thank
you
you,
so
and
much.
thanks all Cocker Spaniel people and other people who joined us. Girijesh Bajaj, we definitely have to meet. I didn't know you have these American Cockers, so we should exchange notes. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thanks. See you.